For this question, there are a lot of complicated looking punctuation marks in the answer choices, so it may be a little intimidating, but we've learned a lot of different things that can help us on this question. There are some rules that we can follow right away, but because they're testing punctuation, as always, we know that we're really being tested on sentence structure. How is the sentence built? What pieces are part of the sentence? What pieces are extra? That's why we use punctuation, to separate out the main stuff from the extra stuff. So if you look at this question to start, the way that the no change choice has things, it looks pretty good. In addition to supervillains, the new, soon-to-be iconic characters of the age, Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four, and the Hulk among them, had to cope with mundane real-life problems. So we associate colons with lists. This is a list. That seems good. But that is a mistake. That is the mistake that they hope you make. This is a trap. What we really need to think about with colons is the rules about structure. Remember, the thing before the colon must be a complete sentence. We've got some flexibility with what comes after, but before, it needs to be a complete sentence. Let's see if it is. In addition to supervillains, the new, soon-to-be iconic characters of the age. Well, what about those characters? What did they do? We're missing something. The sentence has not finished. So we couldn't just drop a colon there because the colon is supposed to kind of act like a period in a way and tell us that the thought is over and everything that comes after is just a little extra information. But clearly the thought has not been completed, so a colon is not going to work. For the same reason, a semicolon will not work. Remember, the rule with a semicolon is that the part before must be a complete sentence, which we just said it's not, and just as a reminder, the part after also needs to be a complete sentence. So those two things fail the test. Now, I think if you've practiced a little bit, you probably know that this answer is D because you've seen the SAT use the double dash. They do like to use it. But I just want to clarify why we use it, because sometimes we use a dash on its own without another dash to complement it. So it really just depends on how the sentence is constructed. But dashes are very versatile. The dash can basically behave as any other punctuation mark. And so why would we use the dash instead of the other punctuation marks? Well, this is a good example. This piece here, let me underline it in green. This list is extra. And a lot of times we have extra things that we want to insert into the middle of a sentence. We use 2 commas to separate it out. So really the main sentence here is, the new, soon-to-be iconic characters of the age had to cope with mundane, real-life problems. So this is an interruption. And we would love to use 2 commas to make the interruption. The problem is the interruption itself is a list, and that list contains 3 commas already. Or 2 commas. List of 3 things, 2 commas. So to use commas again to mark off this list would be very visually confusing. We just see like a lot of commas and our brains would have trouble recognizing which commas are for the list and which commas are for like the extra piece of the sentence. And so the solution is we vary it, right? We use the commas for the list and we use the dash to say, this is an interruption. This is an extra thing. We could have also used parentheses. They kind of function the same way. But we don't have that option, and honestly, the SAT tends to use the dash more than the parentheses. I'm not really sure why, maybe just to confuse you. But notice, maybe we had an instinct about what was going to be right here, but the reason that that instinct is true is because of sentence structure. I really want people to associate punctuation with sentence structure. It makes it a lot easier to prove why you've got certain punctuation marks in certain places, and it lets you think about colons and semicolons with these kind of foolproof tests. So really memorize all these rules. This is a great question to capture a lot of punctuation rules in one place. Maybe come back to this video for a refresher at some point.